It's KarKix, classics, custom, sports cars and trucks, plus news, great places to go, and products you'll love. Don't forget to check us out on the web at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com, and on Facebook and Twitter. Now, here's the host of KarKix, Bob Lange.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to KarKix. The big news this week, COPO. Chevy is going to build 69 COPO Camaros for 2012. The brand's first purpose-built Camaro drag racing specialty car designed to compete with the quickest in the NHRA's stock eliminator and super stock classes. The amazing part of this is that you could actually compete in several classes if you buy the kit. COPO Camaros are expected to be the quickest Camaros ever offered by Chevrolet. It's only a production run of 69 cars, and that matches the number of ZL1 Camaros made in 1969. So there you have it. And COPO stands for Central Office Production Order, if you didn't remember or never knew that. The new COPO Camaros are going to be built using the factory body in white structures that they produce for racers. It's just a body shell, and they're bought just right at the parts counter, like a spark plug. Customers will order and complete the transaction for their nice new COPO Camaro at their preferred Chevy dealer, with delivery to take place at the General Motors Performance Build Center in Wixom, Michigan. And there's a reason for that. They're all going to be sequence built, number matched to the engine, but they're sold without a VIN number, and they can't be registered for highway use. 3 racing class engines are available, a naturally aspirated 427 and 2 supercharged 327s. The GM Performance Build Center is where you can opt to participate in the assembly of the engines. So if you're one of the buyers, you get to put your engines together, engines together at the GM Performance Build Center before you take delivery. They're all going to have Power Glide automatics designed for drag racing, and they're available in 5 colors: flat black, summit white, victory red, silver ice metallic, and ashen gray metallic. The graphic package is going to look like the concept car from what I've heard, in white, semi-gloss black, Inferno orange, and Chevy Racing blue. All you need is $89,000, unless you're buying the special collector's package, which offers the purchase of all 3 engines with the COPO Camaro, including the one installed at delivery time. That's going to be something. To be able to go up there and help assemble the engine and all that, very select 69 racers are going to get these cars. The selection process was given to a third party so that they could make it more even-steven or keep insiders from shuffling things around. But the first step is to go to gmperformanceparts.com and sign up for the COPO Camaro updates through the Fuel Online newsletter. You'll also see updates posted on the Chevy's Performance Facebook page as well. If you were wondering what the part number is, if you want a COPO Camaro, it's part number 201-295-62. So skip going to the grocery store. Just head on over to your Chevy dealer and subscribe for one of those. They're designed to NHRA racing specifications. So they're not going to have the independent rear suspension. They're going to have a solid axle rear end, full chrome moly roll cage, harness for the driver, racing bucket seats, no rear seat, no insulation, no jacuzzi. I'm telling you. Just none. But they will be rare and special Camaros for those 69 people. And, Chevy went forward to produce these based on the input they got at SEMA in 2011. 2,000 racing enthusiasts helped them with that decision to produce a limited number of COPO Camaros. So if you get to see one, take some pictures and send them to us. We'd like to see that. I'd like to see you and your COPO. Awesome.
Coming up, it's the KarKix Toolbox.
And now it's time for a KarKix Car Quiz. What is the meaning of the Volvo emblem? Is it A, a Viking symbol for lightning, B, an ancient symbol for iron, C, it was a charm on Hans Volvo's wife's bracelet, or D, the shape of the first part the company made? We'll have the answer in just a moment. CarChex will perform a 155-point pre-inspection auto inspection almost anywhere in the USA. They have detailed auto inspection reports. If you're going to buy a car, you want to get it inspected. It's likely the second largest investment you'll make. Get the gold package and receive a CarChex 155-point pre-purchase inspection, plus the added protection of Carfax. That's right, you'll get a Carfax vehicle history report. It's the KarKix CarChex. Say it 5 times fast, but check it out today at KarKix.com. It's the KarKix Car Cap, a great ball cap for just $10. You can be a part of the ruling elite with your KarKix Car Cap. Stop being laughed at by your mom. Get the hat. Just $10 plus tax and handling, and an agent of a semi-governmental agency will deliver it to wherever you get your U.S. mail. Get the KarKix car cap today at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com. And now the answer to your KarKix car quiz. Volvo considers itself officially founded the 14th of April, 1927, when the first car, the Jacob, rolled off the assembly line. The word Volvo closely resembles the Latin phrase, I roll, symbolizing Volvo's desire to make transportation easier. The company's logo, a circle with an arrow pointing to the upper right, is an ancient chemical symbol for iron, but it's also one of the oldest ideograms in Western culture. It's intended to depict modern design. The shape is also known as the Mars symbol. In old manuscripts, it's usually interpreted as the shield and spear from the war god Mars. The symbol is used in many fields. These include in science the male gender, the planet Mars, and the chemical element iron. In mythology, the Roman god Mars or the Greek god Ares, but Volvo says it's iron. And that's your KarKix car quiz.
Time for a look in the KarKix toolbox.
In the toolbox today is something we all wish we had in the shop. If you have one now, you're lucky. These are made in Texas with a Texas-style guarantee, and they're made with quality workmanship and a patented design. That would all sound good if it was something you could use, wouldn't it? Well, it is. It's a media blaster and a blast cabinet made by Lake Buchanan Enterprises, right in the middle of Texas. The barrel blaster and the blast master. One is the cabinet style, and the other for larger items like a 60 Chrysler. That would be the Blast Master. It's on wheels with a built-in funnel, ceramic nozzles available in 4 sizes, a gauge relief valve, 10-foot of hose, and it carries 150 pounds of abrasive. You can use aluminum oxide, glass beads, or walnut shells. Same as the cabinet model, the Barrel Blaster. Now, the Barrel Blaster, my fave, is a great tool for a wide range of applications. Automotive restoration, gun refinishing, glass etching, surface preparation, rust and paint removal, all of them are a cinch, and really the applications are endless. The unit is tough enough for industrial use, but the cool thing is it's affordable enough for any home shop. With jobs being lost overseas, it's nice to see an American company come along that has something that is both affordable and works great. I'd say Yankee ingenuity, but it's from Texas, you know. At $299, the Barrel Blaster is the deal. It's built from what looks like a 55-gallon drum and outfitted with a blasting gun and gloves, internal work light, 12x16 viewing window, easy access drain for media changes, and an innovative shop vac connection for dust collection. Now, shipping for the Barrel Blaster doesn't hurt either, because what they do is they put all the parts, stand, everything comes packaged inside the barrel, and then it's shipped inexpensively. Assembly is easy. All parts are labeled and require no special tools. The viewing area is great, and the 50-pound media capacity is more than enough for all the grit you need to clean off a part. The shop vac port is perfectly sized, and the 23-inch by 33-inch work area offers plenty of capacity for larger parts up to 10x16. Overall, the Barrel Blaster is a well-built American-made blasting cabinet with an excellent value point. We find it perfectly suited for the shop who needs to blast parts on a regular basis, as well as a hobbyist or a gearhead at home. I know I want one, and you can find out more about it on our links page at KarKix.com. KarKix.com.
Don't forget to tell our sponsors that you heard about them on KarKix. That's how we keep the show rolling. Now, here's the host of KarKix, Bob Lange.
Thing about radio is the government regulates where the signal goes. They make radio stations point their antennas in certain directions to prevent interference, and they regulate power and all that different stuff. And WABC in New York 770 is very, very powerful. Clear channels probably can make it past the Mississippi at night. I'm sure. KKOB in Albuquerque is the other clear channel 770. On the AM dial, and you can hear it in Guam because it's pointed to the west. So for I don't know how many decades, but a couple of decades at least, Larry Ahrens was the morning show host on KKOB and is extremely well known throughout the West. as one of the premier broadcasters out this way in the Southwest, for sure. And recently, he had us on his new program on KIVA, 1550 AM. Mark Roman and I spent the morning with him and talked about Scottsdale, and it was just such a fun thing. We have not put it on the KarKix radio program, so we thought we'd do that today. So without further ado, here's myself, Mark Roman, and Larry Ahrens on KIVA 1550.
Okay. We're back here on AM 1550 KIVA. Website is 1550kiva.com, and all the interviews are there cataloged for you. A lot of folks responding to that. We appreciate that very much. Coming up after our 9 o'clock news, we're going to talk about classic cars and some guys that go and chase those down. They just got back from all the auctions in Arizona and saw some good stuff. So that's coming up. Bob Lange and Mark Roman will be with us. There's a signal from Doug. We're on. Okay. Doug Case is our producer. Larry Ahrens here every morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Having fun, talking to interesting people, and what a cool job I have. But I don't have as cool a job as my two guests that are sitting here before me in this comfortable little studio. And, you know, what's even great is they know their way around a radio station because they've been in the business before, too. So I won't have to instruct them on how to use the mic or anything like that. You guys look real comfortable. We could just do this all the time. Let me introduce to you from KarKix, my old friend Mark Roman, and the big guy over here, Bob Lange. How are you guys?
Great, Larry.
You know, let me start by saying it is great to hear you back on the air.
Thank you, Mark.
It's been a long time, but welcome back. I've been listening to you every morning, and
thank you.
Really enjoy it.
Well, it's great to be here, and as you can see, this is comfortable. It's fun. Like I said, you guys have the best job in the world. So, what does KarKix do, and what do you guys do with this?
Well, KarKix it was funny because it was originally called Car Talkin', but we didn't want our lawyers were afraid of Click and Clack's lawyers, and so we changed it to KarKix. And first, because for legal reasons. Second, because my old English professor would fall over and die if he knew we spelled it KarKix. But the idea was to provide coverage in an area that wasn't really getting a lot of. There were a lot of shows on the radio that were doing repairs, car repairs, like hi, I'm Pete and I've got a broken air conditioner, and we thought, let's leave that alone, and we're going to go take care of customs, classic cars, muscle cars. And these are cars that touch people more than, it's not just an old car, it touches them in their life. Yeah. It was an old family car. So we had a 69 Chevelle. Yeah, it was a really great car. And now they're talking about like this, we're going to do Vets for Valentine's Day. And we're going to go through the history of Corvette. Mark did an epic interview with the president, CEO of Mid-America Motorworks, right?
Mike Yeager, and this is back in Effingham, Illinois, and I actually came
Corvette
across
parts.
that. Yeah, just an incredible interview. So that's a lot of what it is what we do different as opposed to just a website and people throw up stories and you've got a story on GM and how their sales were up or down or whatever. We literally go to events and go out and interview people. And one of the most amazing things, the best invention I've ever seen is the iPhone. Let me show you this little microphone here. I've never seen anything like this. This is an app that you can take an iPhone and plug a mic literally into it, and all the heavy equipment that used to carry.
That we used to do.
You plug
it in your iPhone and
go.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
So basically you carry your passion for classic cars over to the website.
That's right, and the radio.
Fantastic. We're going to talk about classic cars. We just got back from Arizona and all the big auctions, which was last month, and we'll continue our conversation with Mark Roman and Bob Lange from KarKix right after this. Okay, we're back with Mark Roman and Bob Lange from KarKix. You're in Albuquerque, and you bill yourselves as automotive media. You carry the passion for classic cars and muscle cars, and when I say classic cars, I'm encompassing everything into that. And you carry it over to KarKix, and Bob, you do a show about this, don't you?
Right. In fact, today we're going to do later today we'll record pieces for our Valentine. How do we say it? Vets for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the history of the Corvette and all that jazz. But we're also asking people what three cars would you most like, or which one car would you most like to pick your Valentine's date up in?
Oh, what a great question.
What'd you do? For me, it was a Bentley convertible. Mark, yours was...
It was an Aston Martin, the 007 Bond car.
She would just be all over you,
Bond.
Yeah, when you show up, James Bond. Yeah.
Now, if your listeners want to go to the KarKix Facebook page and post theirs, we'll put them in a drawing for a KarKix ball cap like the one I'm wearing. So they just have to go to the KarKix Facebook page and then put what car would they most like to take their Valentine for a date on, and we'll pick a name and then we'll send them a cap.
Hey, nice.
Cool, huh?
That is cool. So you guys just got back from Arizona and all the auctions, and you should see our desk in here. We have all kinds of stuff. So your purpose to go was to get in the middle of all the classic car action. And during that latter part of January in Scottsdale, Arizona, it's kind of the epicenter of the classic car world in America.
Yeah, Woodstock for old tin.
That's a good way to put it. And you have the Barrett-Jackson. That gets the most publicity, but there are really 5 or 6 more auctions going on in the valley out there.
There really is. And for people that like the Super Bowl, I pretty much call that the Super Bowl week for automotive. It kicks off in Scottsdale, and while you have the Barrett-Jackson, they run every week, in the evenings on speed, and then they put more into it on the weekends all day, Saturday and Sunday. But you also have the RM auction. You have the Gooding & Company auction, which set an incredible record for a Ferrari in Monterey last year. They had a Ferrari go on the block for $16.39 million. It was a prototype of 57 Testarossa.
Oh, my gosh.
So these are some of the ones that you really don't hear that much about. You also have the Russo and Steel. Bonhams just started a auction this year, and you have the Silver, which is a smaller one, but it's just hopping from...
And Gooding & Company is that's the Gracious Uptown Living auction. That's the one where the average car price is greater than the median price of a home in a very, very expensive neighborhood.
So each auction has its own feel to it and own specialty, right? Which one, in your opinion, is the better one for the overall classic car auction?
Well, I think as a whole, you've got the Barrett that is the best of all worlds.
It does everything. The muscle cars, classics, old stuff.
I'm going with that.
Yeah.
They do. But what's nice about the other ones is depending on what you like, you can kind of gravitate toward that. If you want to go see some of the classics that are from across the pond, whether it's going to be a Ferrari or if you want to go see an Aston Martin or a real rare BMW or an MG, you're going to go to the Gooding. If you want to see an incredible Duesenberg, not only are you going to see that at the Barrett, but you're going to go and you're going to see that piece of fine machinery over at the RM. So they've all carved their niche is what they've done.
And Mecum, too. You'll see easier accessible for the average guy cars at Mecum, but you'll also see some very incredible rare things. Barrett-Jackson has, and a lot of people have this idea that Barrett-Jackson is just $200,000 Camaros. It's not. In the early days, Tuesday, Wednesday, there are affordable cars. I mean, a guy with a couple of grand can go down there and still get a car. Of course, it's not going to be Concours rotisserie restoration, rare, one-off Camaro, but he can get himself a really nice old sedan or a nice, Buick or something. He can get a nice car that he'd be in love with.
What I want to talk about is the actual market for cars, what the prices were like this year when we come back. And what kind of investment is this for people? This is good stuff. All right, so if you love cars, especially the classics, our two guests here are all over it. Mark Roman and Bob Lange from KarKix.com. Back in a moment with the car guys here, Mark Roman and Bob Lange with KarKix.com. They are absolutely passionate about classic cars. They've just gotten back from all the auto auctions that take place in Arizona every year. And if you love classic cars, muscle cars, old cars.
Well, we're also out at SEMA for hot rods, customs, and street rods and things like that.
All that stuff. KarKix.com is where you can go, and Bob does a show on it's automotive passion, automotive media, and this is a lot of fun. So you were at Barrett-Jackson. That's the most famous auction. I see one car went for $2.9 million.
That was the Tucker Torpedo. If you've ever seen the movie that actually Jeff Bridges did back in the 90s, it was devoted to the car Tucker. They only made 51 of those.
Great story.
Some of them go on the block every once in a while. They have one down at the Peterson Automotive. They have one also up at the Blackhawk Museum in Northern California near Danville. And this one went for, 2.8, 2.9 mil.
There's a Pierce Arrow that went for $2.2 million. This is amazing. How people are buying these at that price level to own them. It's not necessarily an investment at that price point.
It can be, and in a lot of cases, it is to fill a collection. A person has a passion for those Dietrich designs, or they have a passion for that year of car. But collecting cars as an investment has layers to it. There are the guys that are buying a $5,000 Buick and turning it into a $15,000 Buick. There are guys that are buying $35,000 Corvettes and turning them into $80,000 Corvettes. There are guys that are buying, and those layers act differently as an investment. So if you're working in that lower echelon, say up to $25,000, you're probably going to see some appreciation and do some good this next year. Yeah, and the same maybe up in some of the higher ranges, but it starts to fade in certain areas. Like we were talking Ford GT40s, not bringing what they did 2, 3, 4 years ago, Mark.
Well, one of the things too is the market kind of tanked for everything, just the economy back in 2007, 2008, and that happened with some of the automotive too. But the market changed as well. 5, 6 years ago, you could go to the Barrett-Jackson and you'd see these Cudas and Challengers going on the block for $300,000-$400,000, and money was no object. Right. Today, you can go up there and buy that. Yeah, it is. And you can go and buy the same thing for half that price. But while the Mopar trend has faded, all of a sudden Chevrolets come back because of the resurgence of the new Camaro.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and pickup trucks. I've watched old pickup trucks. They used to, roll a 65 Ford across the block, and it would go for maybe $8,000 to $10,000, nice restored. And now they're bringing high teens, and some of the 40s, like a 49 Ford, I saw roll through at 30. That a year ago would have sold for 18. So it does have those fashions.
Right. You were telling me about there's some rock star that they've started a mutual fund to buy cars. Is that right?
Nick Mason, the drummer for Pink Floyd, is acting as an advisor to a group in Europe. It's not available in the United States, but don't hold your breath. It'll probably be here before long under some other name. Yeah. But it's a mutual fund. They're out taking $150 million. And they're going to buy 40 premier automobiles. I mean, these are cars normal people will never see. Well, I'll never see them, and they are held just for the investment value. I got to think of like a Ferrari 250 GT or a Zagato. Those are going to be in that class. And the idea behind what they're doing is strictly. It's not for the car passion. It's not for the passion of the automobile. It's to make a 15% return.
They're buying cars to flip, like real estate,
right? And that's coming to the United States eventually.
That is something I noticed last year. I mean, I went up for the first time and covered everything for KarKix in 2011, and some of the cars that you'd see at the RM or at the Barretts are back on the block this year again. So some people buy them, they turn them, hoping to make an investment. Sometimes that doesn't work out, but. A lot of the passion that's involved when you invest in a vehicle, a vehicle that you might have had when you grew up, you want it again. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to say, hey, I've got to have that 442 that I had when I was, back in college. Yeah. And to you, that might mean the world, but that person sitting beside you, he might want that Mustang, or he might want maybe, something that he's never had before. Maybe he wants an Alfa Romeo. Right. And that's the great thing about it. So, it's a matter of what your passion is, and there's no such thing as a car that's unwanted. Well,
Good. You just when you said that, you reminded me of the Gremsters and the Pacer Club. It's man, there are folks collecting the oddballs. Haggerty just did a nice piece on
AMC Gremlins and Pacers.
Yeah.
No kidding.
The Gremsters are cool, and there's niche collectors for all of those. So you can go online and find forums for just about every make, model, shape.
You just name it. It's out there.
Mustangs are really hot right now.
I'll bet they are. Back in a moment with more car talk with our guys today. KarKix.com. Mark Roman and Bob Lange are in studio today. We'll be back in a moment here at AM 1550 KIVA.
Boy, you put two car guys in a room with an old friend, start catching up and talking cars, and the next thing you know, man, it was a great time we had. And we'll have more of that interview in a little while. But we'll be back with more KarKix after this.
We'll be right back with more KarKix.
Now it's time for a KarKix Car Quiz. Who was the first president of the United States to have a state car bulletproofed? Was it A. Calvin Coolidge, B. Dwight Eisenhower, C. FDR, or D. Harry Truman? We'll have the answer in just a moment. CarChex will perform a 155-point pre-inspection auto inspection almost anywhere in the USA. They have detailed auto inspection reports. If you're going to buy a car, you want to get it inspected. It's likely the second largest investment you'll make. Get the gold package and receive a CarChex 155-point pre-purchase inspection, plus the added protection of Carfax. That's right, you'll get a Carfax vehicle history report. It's the KarKix CarChex. Say it 5 times fast, but check it out today at KarKix.com. It's the KarKix Car Cap, a great ball cap for just $10. You can be a part of the ruling elite with your KarKix Car Cap. Stop being laughed at by your mom. Get the hat. Just $10 plus tax and handling, and an agent of a semi-governmental agency will deliver it to wherever you get your U.S. mail. Get the KarKix Car Cap today at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com. You wouldn't drink and drive, that would be stupid, but what most people don't realize is that texting has become an even greater danger. Many people assume the problem is mostly teens, but that's not the case. In fact, almost half of all grown-up adults admit to texting while driving. 50%! Compared to only 34% of teens. Distracted drivers were responsible for over 500,000 police-reported crashes in 2008 alone. That's just huge! 500,000 crashes! Hey, keep your attention on the road, not on cell phones and other mobile devices. It's easy. Just ignore it. If you can't do that, put the device in your trunk. And if you can't do either of those, don't drive a vehicle at all, because I'm driving here. I know you can't control how other people use their phones. You can control how and when you use yours. So turn off your phone before you turn on your car. If your car's cool enough, leave the radio off too. There's some music. This message brought to you by your friends at KarKix.com. And now the answer to your KarKix Car Quiz. The first car specially built for presidential use was the 1939 Lincoln V12 convertible called the Sunshine Special. It was used by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The limousine was originally equipped with a siren, running lights, a two-way radio, and extra-wide running boards, and grab handles for the Secret Service agents. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the Secret Service became even more concerned about presidential assassination attempts against President Roosevelt. The following day, December 8, 1941, a heavily armored 1928 Cadillac 341A town sedan, originally belonging to gangster Al Capone, was pressed into service to transport the president to Capitol Hill to deliver his "A Day Which Will Live in Infamy" speech. The car had been confiscated by the Treasury Department following Capone's arrest and stored in an impound lot until its ironic final duty. Roosevelt used the Capone car until his Sunshine Special was modified to be bulletproof, with armor plating for the doors, bulletproof tires, inch-thick windows, and storage compartments for submachine guns. The Ford Motor Company leased the car to the office of the president for $500 a year. It remained in use until 1948 and is now on permanent display at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. So your answer is C. FDR was the first president to have a state car bulletproof. That's your KarKix Car Quiz.
Coming up, we'll take a peek inside the KarKix showroom. Now, here's Bob Lange.
We talked last week about the Corvette and Ferraris at Amelia Island, but Porsches set all kinds of records for prices out there. Amelia Island Auctioneers Gooding & Company had its collection of Porsches there take top dollar. They set new records for the highest prices ever paid for Porsches. Among them was a 55 Porsche Spyder, $3.7 million. And I remember when these cars were new, the 73 917 Can-Am Spyder, $4.4 million. Not bad. And those 917s looked like just, well, they still do, but I mean, back in the day, they were just the hammers of Thor. 73 Porsche 917 for 4.4, a 55 for 3.6 million, and a 74 911 Carrera RSR Turbo, $3.2 million. And many other 70s racers they had there. We found this in American Car Collector. It's Keith Martin from What's Your Car Worth? Yeah, it's his magazine, American Car Collector. And inside we found Guy Larson from Palos Park, Illinois, will lead Bloomington Gold into its 5th decade as America's premier Corvette event. He's already played a significant role in other changes that they just announced. The move back to Central Illinois in 2013, as well as new certification standards, and more improvements are envisioned. When he was a boy, Larson tried to get hired by a restaurant in order to buy a new car. By the time he was 16, he was foiled by his parents, who made him actually spend the money first for college tuition. He finally got his car. At 22, he purchased his first Corvette and has had one ever since. So he's fairly well addicted to them and should do a fine job as the leader of Bloomington Gold. He continuously improved his collection with more and more collectible and authentic Corvettes, and he's never really strayed from his original philosophy that these cars are meant to be driven, not just polished and looked at. According to CEO David Burrows, he can relate to all the customer segments because he has firsthand experience with so many aspects of the Corvette hobby and industry. He's personally done frame-off restorations, he's had vets gold certified, and he's been the director of all Bloomington Gold judges. He owns a national trade show business, so it all kind of combines to the right thing. Guy not only has a great business mind, but he also has good common sense, even temperament, and a true reflection of the customers and enthusiasts Bloomington Gold has served for 40 years. He's a true Corvette guy, and so congratulations and good best wishes to Guy Larson. We're going to take a little break here and then come back and talk about the MGB. Oh yeah, baby. It's a car all about fun.
KarKix will be right back.
And now it's time for a KarKix car quiz. Where was the first drive-in movie theater opened? Extra point for what year? Was it A, Hollywood, California, B, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, C, Athens, Georgia, or D, Camden, New Jersey? We'll have the answer in just a moment. CarChecks will perform a 155-point pre-inspection auto inspection almost anywhere in the USA. They have detailed auto inspection reports. If you're going to buy a car, you want to get it inspected. It's likely the second largest investment you'll make. Get the gold package and receive a CarChecks 155-point pre-purchase inspection, plus the added protection of Carfax. That's right, you'll get a Carfax vehicle history report. It's the KarKix CarChecks. Say it 5 times fast, but check it out today at KarKix.com. You wouldn't drink and drive, that would be stupid, but what most people don't realize is that texting has become an even greater danger. Many people assume the problem is mostly teens, but that's not the case. In fact, almost half of all grown-up adults admit to texting while driving. 50%! Compared to only 34% of teens. Distracted drivers were responsible for over 500,000 police-reported crashes in 2008 alone. That's just huge! 500,000 crashes! Hey, keep your attention on the road, not on cell phones and other mobile devices. It's easy. Just ignore it. If you can't do that, put the device in your trunk. And if you can't do either of those, don't drive a vehicle at all, because I'm driving here. I know you can't control how other people use their phones. You can control how and when you use yours. So turn off your phone before you turn on your car. If your car's cool enough, leave the radio off too. There's some music. This message brought to you by your friends at KarKix.com. And now the answer to your KarKix car quiz. The drive-in movie theater was a place to take all your friends, some of them in the trunk. It was also a place to take your date and have private, conversation. The drive-in was an iconic recreation spot from the 1930s through the 1980s. Richard Hollingshead Jr., a chemical company executive, was granted a patent in 1932, but it would be 1941 before the audio was perfected when RCA came up with the iconic window speaker with a volume knob. The year 2001 marked the rebirth of the drive-in in a new format, the do-it-yourself drive-in, which utilized contemporary tools such as LCD projectors and micro radio transmitters. The first was the Liberation Drive-In in Oakland, California, which sought to reclaim an unused parking lot in the downtown area. Recent years have seen the rise of the guerrilla drive-in theater movement, in which groups of dedicated individuals orchestrate similar outdoor film and video screenings. Showings are often organized online, and participants meet at specified locations to watch films projected on bridge pillars or warehouses. The content featured at these screenings is frequently independent or experimental films, cult movies, or otherwise alternative programming. The best-known guerrilla drive-ins include The Mob Move in San Francisco, California, and Hollywood, As of 2011, 371 drive-ins have been listed for the United States. But what about the first one? The answer is D, Camden, New Jersey in 1933. That's when the first one appeared. And that's your KarKix Car Quiz.
Let's peek inside the KarKix showroom.
Today in the KarKix showroom, it's the MGB, the Morris Garage's B model that is just the cutest little car that ever happened. Well, I don't know, Bug Eye Sprite's pretty cute, and the MG Midget's pretty cute, but let's talk about the MGB for a minute. The MGB was built from 1962 to 1980 with a total production of 386,789 units. 9 out of every 10 were exported, mostly to the United States. In 1965, they added the MGB GT, and by the end of production in 1980, 125,000 had been built, with rather less than half going to export. A grand total of 512,000 Tours and GTs made the MGB the world's top-selling sports car of its era, and the first to reach 500,000. And believe it or not, the home market only got 49,000 of the Roadsters and almost 65,000 of the GTs. That may just be a reflection on the weather. However, once MGBs became classics, many were re-imported to Britain from America. The MGB was the first unitary construction MGB sports car designed for high integrity without a roof. That means that the GT is so well built it's like a bank vault. The Prince of Darkness, Lucas aside, the MGB's toughness and reliability suited it well to long-distance motorsports, and successes included outright wins of the 1965 Guards 1000 race, which is at Brands Hatch, and the 1966 Marathon at Nürburgring. There were class wins at Sebring in 66 and 67, and in the 1966 Spa race, and in 64 and 65 at the Le Mans 24-hour events, where just finishing is an accomplishment. The MGB netted second place in its class each time. The popularity of the MGB didn't fade in the 60s and 70s, though. It's remained one of the most popular sports cars of all time. In fact, now it's one of the best supported classic cars of all time when it comes to spares, and the first to have a series-produced replacement body shell, launched by British Motor Heritage in 1988. A special version of this Heritage shell was used to produce a commemorative MG RV8 in 1992, which kept the brand name alive until the MGF came along in 1995. Of course, we never saw it in the United States, but the nice thing is you can go and get almost any part, I think, except an engine block for the MGB. Build a new one if you like, just find an old block. And they have a unique sound, a unique feel. It's a sensory thing. They say it about Jeeps. They say it about Harley Davidsons. If I have to explain it, you wouldn't understand. And I think MG falls into that category too. It is not the fastest sports car out there. It doesn't handle the best, but it sounds and feels so nice to take an MG out on a nice day that I hope this car just rocks forever. That's the KarKix showroom.
Coming up next, well, why not just stay right there and find out?
Ford says color can keep you alert, make you feel good, in and out of your vehicle. So what they're doing is color-scaping. Ford is color-scaping the new Ford Focus. Their researchers, designers, and interior engineers have studied the role of how light can contribute to and significantly enhance the driving experience.
The usage of color effectively in lighting and messaging is important to give the comfort and convenience of the driving experience. Specifically, correct blue light and the variations of other colors can give you a choice to establish the correct mood and psychological situation where you are at.
According to Mahindra, certain levels or combinations of light trigger enzymes in the brain while you're driving.
If you have a correct level of blue light, these wavelengths trigger a well-known enzyme called melatonin that keeps you alert and aware of your situation and driving situation.
Lightscaping is here to stay, according to Mahindra.
We believe that the driving experience can be more pleasant and less stressful using lighting solutions.
So what they're doing is they're focusing on the choice of color, the meaning of the layout of the lighting, and how the colors and materials are in a functional way important, whether it's artificial light or natural light.
If the selection of materials are done right, then it will interact with the natural light and the artificial light in a very meaningful and a functional way.
Mike Arbaugh, interior chief designer of the 2013 Ford Fusion, says the team set out to design a more sophisticated and sportier interior than the outgoing Fusion. We know the outside of the new Fusion looks great. Well, what about the inside?
The interior has a really fast center stack that helps give the illusion of making it more sporty. It's very driver-oriented. All the controls are easily reachable to the driver. All the materials are much softer or more comfortable to touch than the outgoing vehicle.
Harbaugh looks at the designing of a car's exterior and interior, similar to the relationship between men and women. Looks are important, but it's what's inside that counts.
It's interesting when you're developing an automobile. It's very, very similar to dating, finding a relationship. You're drawn to the exterior. There's a desire to want to be seen with or to be part of it. But as we know, a happy long-term relationship is always about the inside. And we always joke in the studio, it's about long-term love. Everything has to fit, everything has to be comfortable, it has to look good, but it has to function and feature the way you expect it. You're in the inside of the vehicle more so than you are on the outside looking at it. It almost has to complete your sentences. When you're looking to control something, you know where it is, it operates just the way you want it to operate.
Harbaugh says the Fusion doesn't just look sophisticated, it's upscale and high quality. And it feels that way too. The 2013 Ford Fusion is setting an aesthetic standard for that automobile category. And you can look for it in a Ford showroom sometime later this year.
We'll be right back with more KarKix.
And now it's time for a KarKix Car Quiz. Who is credited with designing the Volkswagen Beetle? Was it A. Ferdinand Porsche, B. Alexia Volk, C. Helmut Works, or D. Wilhelm Audi? We'll have the answer in just a moment. Whether you have one car or 30, they represent a big investment. You want it to run its best so it lasts a long, long time. Well, there's technology, new technology, that can help you do that. It's called a pulse plug. Here's why its technology should be in your engine. Until now, every gallon of gas you bought was ignited by a simple but ancient spark plug. It's outdated technology that's barely changed in 100 years. Until now, with Pulsar pulse plugs, you can change to a new, eco-friendly, advanced technology igniter to make every drop of gas burn better and cleaner. Here's how it works. Electrical energy from the engine's ignition coil is stored in the Pulsar pulse plug's built-in capacitor. At the exact moment it's needed, that energy is released at an amazingly powerful and quick 2-nanosecond high-energy pulse. The result? Improved combustion efficiency. Your vehicle burns fuel more effectively, giving you improved MPG, less emissions, and better overall drivability. Even the fashion-conscious Prius in an EPA fuel consumption lab saw notable improvements in MPG. Pulse plugs may look similar to spark plugs on the outside, but inside the technology advances of Pulsar are evident and generates a spark with 20,000 times greater energy than any spark plug. Don't wait another tankful. You can find Pulsar pulse plugs at Advanced Auto Care, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and at any AutoZone near you. Or check us out on the web too at pulstarpower.com. That's PULSTAR power.com. pulstarpower.com. You wouldn't drink and drive, that would be stupid, but what most people don't realize is that texting has become an even greater danger. Many people assume the problem is mostly teens, but that's not the case. In fact, almost half of all grown-up adults admit to texting while driving. 50%! Compared to only 34% of teens. Distracted drivers were responsible for over 500,000 police-reported crashes in 2008 alone. That's just huge. 500,000 crashes. Hey, keep your attention on the road, not on cell phones and other mobile devices. It's easy. Just ignore it. If you can't do that, put the device in your trunk. And if you can't do either of those, don't drive a vehicle at all, because I'm driving here. I know you can't control how other people use their phones. You can control how and when you use yours. So turn off your phone before you turn on your car. If your car's cool enough, leave the radio off too. There's some music. This message brought to you by your friends at KarKix.com. And now the answer to your KarKix Car Quiz. Ferdinand Porsche received a contract from Adolf Hitler to design a people's car, or Volkswagen. He followed on from his previous designs for such cars as the 1931 Type 12 Zundap. The first two prototype cars were completed in 1935. By 1939, World War II meant production changed to military vehicles, the Type 82 Kübelwagen or bucket car utility vehicle. After the war, a British Army officer, Major Ivan Hurst, preserved the operation and moved the Volkswagen forward. Volkswagens were first exhibited and sold in the United States in 1949, but only sold 2 units in America that first year. The Volkswagen Beetle, officially called the Type 1, or informally the Volkswagen Bug, was produced from 1938 until 2003. With over 21 million manufactured in an air-cooled rear-engined rear-wheel drive configuration, the Beetle was the longest-running and most manufactured car of a single design platform anywhere in the world. And that's your KarKix Car Quiz. Here's myself, Mark Roman, and Larry Ahrens on KIVA 1550.
Back with our good car buddies here, Bob Lange and Mark Roman from KarKix.com, KarKix.com. And we're talking about classic cars. Let's speak about celebrities for a moment. Probably the most famous car collector is Jay Leno, Tonight Show host.
Yeah, Jay's really doing a service to the American car collector by preserving very rare pieces, taking very rare pieces and bringing them back. And Mark, you want to talk about his personality?
You know, the great thing about Leno is he's approachable. This is kind of a funny story, but while I was out of the Barrett, I actually sneak on stage and take all kind of footage and video and everything, and I'm panning from the left, taking the main car that's up there, and I go over to the right, and what do I see but Leno's driving up on a tractor.
Oh, really?
And so I've got footage of myself actually handing him one of our KarKix cards that he's putting into his pocket.
As he's driving the tractor.
As he's driving the tractor.
It's amazing.
There's stories that there is a place in Burbank that's a little shop that has all kind of books and everything automotive, and he shows up there on Saturdays. And rumor has it that he buys a book for any guest that goes on to a show that's automotive related. But if you're in that store and he comes up to you and says, hey, yeah, you're looking at that book on Cobras. Well, I got 3. Well, let's sit down and talk. And you can literally talk to him. He'll take you over if he likes you enough, and he'll show you his collection in the hangar out of the Burbank airport. So this guy's just really passionate, and I don't think it's about an ego or anything, but it's just his love.
He has some very rare cars. He has a Stanley Steamer, things like that are real automotive icons.
Histories, yeah. Some of his electrics from the 1907 period, they wouldn't exist anymore if it weren't for him, and he's doing that across a wide range of years and types. So
now, you bumped into Wayne Carini is the guy. If you have cable or satellite, the show is called Chasing Classic Cars, and it's a fun show to watch. And he's a restorer himself, right? And so Wayne, you bumped into him?
Actually, that goes back to his father as well, too, restoring cars. So he's maintaining that. He's got a place in Connecticut called F40 Motorsports, but they were filming the show there. So
I'm sure they were shooting a show.
Yeah, they sure were. I'm not shy. I just went up and put a mic in front of him and said, Wayne, welcome to Scottsdale. How do you like it? And he talked about the market. And hey, I've got a nice little clip that we can put up on the.
I'm telling you, Mark. There's one of the few marks that people are aware of are Lancia, an Italian car, and Wayne's also into Lancia. Mark's into Lancia. And when the two of them sparked on that, you can hear this in the interview. When they both sparked on the Lancia model, it was like, oh yeah, it really took off. So, kindred souls, and you find of that a lot, no matter where you go. If you pull up in even a 65 Mustang and there's somebody walk up, hey, that's a really nice old Mustang. It's a very social and very endearing hobby.
It really is, and it's a wonderful group of people that do this, like you say.
It's just amazing when you go to these shows. You never know who you're going to run into. But there was also the car show called What's My Car Worth? Donald Osborne's there. I'm interviewing him. I mean, we're just really trying to go after anybody and everybody that we possibly can.
Mark, how about the Cadillac Hunter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
George Benson.
That's true. I'm walking
through.
The
jazz guitarist, George Benson.
George Benson was there. I'm walking through to go to a gala event that they hold at the Barrett on Monday nights, and I look through the vendors, and there's places where you can buy neon signs, you can buy anything and everything, and in a swing is George Benson and his wife. And all of a sudden, I've got an iPhone and I've got an iRig mic, and we're talking about Cadillacs that he's just real passionate about, and he's trying to buy an experimental Cadillac off of General Motors that was, I believe, the XP80 that they had back
Cyclone.
in the 50s. Yeah,
it was a prototype, one of those Futurama.
One of those kind of things.
I mean, it's like the odds, dude, are like way up there, but he's at it, and they've given him access to the car.
Yeah,
So he's trying to buy it from the factory itself.
He is. It's not for sale, but they let him go in for a couple hours to take photos. He said he was in heaven. And, that's another thing to really go into is GM did these incredible shows called the Motorama back in the 50s, and they would go to different cities, and it would be the car of the future.
Something I've always wondered, the manufacturers of these automobiles, Fords and GMs of the world, do they keep a copy of everything they've ever made over all the years?
Well, I think they're starting to do that now, but what happened way back when is those cars were so expensive to make or whatever, and they didn't really want them. They scrapped a lot of those things.
Yeah, that broke my heart. Back in a couple of years back, I don't want to say how long, I drove hero cars in commercials, and I was fortunate enough to drive Ford prototypes, F-150 prototypes with GT 40 engines and stuff like that. And after a week of on-location shooting and being a part of this prototype truck, which could go 130 miles an hour and handle like a Porsche, I was like in love with this truck. I mean, it was amazing. And so we got to the end of the shoot, and I asked Paul, the representative from Detroit, he says, what are you going to do when we're done with shooting? He says, we're going to pull the seats, pull the radio, take the glass out, and tip it up over into a chipper. And I was like, somebody told me they were going to shoot my best friend. I was apoplectic. I couldn't, I just,
oh my gosh.
It was a wonderful automobile. Now, of course, it became the Lightning a few years later, and now it's SVT and all their stuff. But,
about 2 minutes left. Go ahead, Mark.
One of the prototypes, speaking of the Motorama, is the F-88. It's a 54 Oldsmobile. It's actually sitting up in just outside of Grand Junction, Colorado, at the Gateway Automotive Museum in Gateway, Colorado. Now, back in 2005, I believe, that went on the block, and it broke a record at Barrett-Jackson. A prototype. This car went for $3.2 million at the time. And the guy that was actually bidding on it, actually, it's a convertible. He got into the car on stage and was saying, you're not going to take this from me. I'm going to take this. You know, if you want to bid against me, go ahead. It's mine. I mean, these guys have arrogance when they do something.
Well, it was one of one. It was rarity beyond, off the scale, rare, off the scale collectability.
Unbelievable. KarKix.com is where you can talk to these guys, KarKix.com.
Thanks to Larry Ahrens and Doug Chase and the folks, Eddie, also at KIVA 1550 The Truth, who made us feel real welcome. We had a great time catching up with Larry and talking cars, and look forward to seeing him again real soon. Couple of things before we close today's show. Mentioned to someone we're doing a piece on MG and the MGB, and they said, whatever happened to MG? Well, in 2005, a financial group, including former Ford Motor Company and General Motors executives, calling themselves Magma Holdings, were working in conjunction with the Chinese SAIC to make an offer for the assets of both MG Rover and the engine maker Rover Powertrain, which, if they would have gotten together, would have given them some production there in England. They formalized their bid, made an offer. However, the offer wasn't received because of some of the conditions they put in it. And so the remaining assets of the group were sold off to Nanjing Automobile Group of China, a different. Nanjing said that their preliminary plans involved relocating the powertrain plant to China and splitting car production into Rover lines in China and MG lines in the West Midlands in England. So Nanjing Automobile started shipping equipment from England to China, and then by the time August 2008 rolled around, this is 3 years after the facility closed due to MG Rover's bankruptcy, and SAIC and Nanjing had merged, Nanjing becoming a subsidiary of SAIC. They started assembly at Longbridge in England of a lightly revised MG TF Roadster for the European market from Chinese-built knockdowns. In other words, they were building the MGTF in China, knocking them into pieces, sending them to England, where they were going to be assembled for European dealerships. Throughout its production, MG sold fairly successfully. However, after Nanjing took over and started reproducing the cars, their sales just plummeted until production was eventually ceased in March of last year, 2011. The press basically said its pros were styling, handling, and brand heritage, but the cons were dated interior, patchy build quality, and poor reliability. It was a well-equipped compact, but it was priced more expensively than a basic Mazda Miata, and barely changed since 1995. It looked like an older vehicle. Add to that the fact that the K-Series engine used in the MGF had a reputation for head gasket troubles. A number of changes were made to try and improve all those things, but none were entirely successful. And all the combined calamity of MG's life didn't work out so well for MG fans in the end. Anyway, since we were talking about the MGB earlier in the program, I thought let's bring closure to MGB today and give you what the latest news on MG is. So MG is now Nanjing. Thanks to everybody on the staff, and thank you to Voice America Sports for this week's show, and we'll catch you next time right here on KarKix.
That's all for now. See you right here next time with more KarKix. KarKix is a production of Spirited USA, who is solely responsible for its content. Copyright 2011. All rights reserved. Join us on the web at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com. And on Facebook and Twitter. See you later. Hasta la vista, baby. You're free to go on your own recognizance. Bye-bye.